Hey, what's up guys, it's Rob. Hope you're doing really good out there. So recently I was watching a video by The Art of Guitar, and he was talking about how being a guitar teacher has changed in his experience over the years, from back in the sort of 90s all the way up to modern day times. And it was really interesting because I'm a guitar teacher, and it's nice to sort of get somebody else's perspective on how things are being a guitar teacher. Now, I've only been teaching for the past 4 to 5 years, so definitely not as long as he has. And since then, quite a lot has changed within music, mainly in regards to how people actually receive and consume music. And the main takeaway from his video, and I thought it was a really good and interesting point, something I definitely agree with, is that years ago, music wasn't as available to people. So when people did actually listen to music, it was probably because they'd made the effort to go out, buy a CD, buy a tape, buy a vinyl or something like that. And because they'd gone to that effort and spent the money, they consumed it in a lot more detail. Not only the songs, but the artist's name, the separate artist's name of the band, not just the band name, but the actual artists themselves, the band members, maybe even the people who produced it, recorded it, I don't know, just all of the information that they could get on this CD or vinyl. People who bought these CDs and vinyls would actually really appreciate all that stuff a lot more. Whereas if you compare that to today, music is so available. You can literally just pick up your phone, and then you've got Spotify, you've got YouTube, you've got all of these different sources of music. You can just listen to any song that you want right there, right now. And therefore, I feel like people don't appreciate it as much as people will have done in the past. So how does the consumption of music changing over the past few years relate to and affect being a guitar teacher and teaching people to play the guitar? Well, firstly, I'm going to link the video I was just talking about by The Art of Guitar in the description. Go and check that out. He makes some really good points. It's a really interesting video to watch. But my take on this, it's mainly something I've only really noticed with the younger generation and the generation of kids who have only grown up in the modern age where music is just there whenever they want it and whenever they need it. And one thing I come across time and time again with my students, especially the younger ones, is that they do not know what they like. They do not know what they're interested in. They don't have any favorite bands, any favorite songs. They just don't have any idea what music they like or anything like that. They have no musical identity. And I say to them, surely you must have a favorite song. Nope. Favorite band? I don't know any bands. Have you heard this song? Nope. Have you heard this song? Nope. They just have virtually no musical input at all. Whereas some of my older students, they've got years and years of, listening to bands, watching bands, and, things were different back then. Even from my era, I'm 31 now. And when I was a kid, music was everywhere, even though it wasn't as available. Like, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Spotify. Music was all over the TV. And, we had to go and buy CDs and things like that. But there was a lot of TV shows here in the UK anyway. We had Top of the Pops, which was on every week, which just showed you live performances on TV by the most current artists and all of the songs. The top 40 was a big deal when I was a kid. I remember my brother used to tape it. The radio would be playing the top 40, and my brother would tape record the top 40 so that he had all the latest songs on a cassette that he could listen to throughout the week, and then the next week he'd do the same thing again. So music was definitely a bigger part of everybody's life back then, and therefore you knew a lot more about it. Whereas now, kids, it just seems like they don't have any musical input. And this can sometimes make teaching the guitar quite difficult, because once I get a new student and we get through the beginning stages of let's learn some chords, let's learn some exercises and get some technique going, now we can finally work on some songs that you actually want to learn and actually get you doing what you want to do on the guitar. And then that's met straight away with this hurdle of, I don't know what I want to do on the guitar. And it happens all the time. So obviously I try to give them examples and try to give them songs that I think they might like, or songs that I think are fairly simple and straightforward that they might want to at least give a go just to get them doing something. And normally that just leads to a bit of disinterest because it's not something that they've chosen, it's something that I've chosen, so therefore they're not fully invested in it and they're not going to fully want to go home and spend their week practicing it. It's really tricky. I find that obviously when people really want to learn something specific, they're going to put way more effort into actually learning it. So it's definitely a difficult thing to approach. I quite often ask my students, make me a list of songs. Let's just get a list of 10 songs, 20 songs, something like that. Surely that's not too difficult to do. And then that's going to give us some fuel and some food for thought of things to actually do on the guitar. And it's going to give me a really good idea of what they're interested in, because every student is different. Also, people have different musical tastes and preferences. So I like to know individually what each student likes and put them down the path that they want to go down. So back on the subject of how people actually consume music these days, and again, I'm still talking about the younger generation. One thing that is really big these days, I notice this a lot, with my students and even what their parents tell me, is that all kids really seem to do these days is play video games. That's a large part of younger kids' lives. Maybe I'm generalizing more with male students as opposed to female students. But maybe not fully. But either way, a lot of my younger students, they spend basically all of their time on video games, on Fortnite, on Minecraft, on who knows what. I'm not a massive gamer, so I don't know all the games, but that's what kids play. And is there any music on these games? There might be. I mean, there is sometimes. Sometimes some kids will turn up and go, I heard this song on a game that I like, can I learn it? That's actually a good thing in my opinion. It's actually giving them exposure to music in a different way. And that's good, because that's giving them some sort of input musically, and they think, oh, I quite like this song, it was on this game that I like, and we can learn it on the guitar. That's some sort of direction. But other than that, there might not actually be that much. So that's definitely different from when I was a kid. Obviously we had video games when I was a kid, but it was like PlayStation 1 games and Nintendo, stuff like that. And online playing wasn't really a thing. You'd play for an hour or something like that, and then you'd turn it off. You wouldn't be on it all the time, all night, playing with people across the world, and it wasn't as involved as it is now, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Another thing that I came across recently, which was actually pretty cool, is one of my students turned up and he said he really wanted to learn the song from Thor Ragnarok. I mean, that's not very specific. Luckily, I've seen Thor Ragnarok and I know what song he means. It was the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. That's the song he meant, that riff, the really cool one. That's what he wanted to learn. I thought, great, there's a kid here who's heard this song that he probably would never have been exposed to unless he'd watched the Avengers film, the Thor film, and he's heard this riff and got, I want to learn that on the guitar. Absolutely fantastic, and we loved going through that one, and it was a good thing. I just wish there was more of that these days. More input for kids with decent music. I'm not saying that all music these days isn't decent, but I just mean in terms of guitar related stuff anyway. So this has just been on my mind quite a lot, and I wanted to just put it out there as a little bit of a question to anybody watching this who plays guitar anyway, is, has there ever been a point in your life where you didn't know what you wanted to learn on the guitar and you weren't really sure what you were doing? Or have you always known what you wanted to do? In my opinion anyway, and in my case, I can only talk of my own experience, I don't remember there ever really being a time where I didn't know what I wanted to learn, or I didn't know a band where I wanted to learn some of their songs or anything. It was just always constantly, I want to learn this, I want to learn that, I want to learn this. If anything, I had too much options and too much choice. So it baffles me that there's people out there who don't know what they want to learn. They want to learn the guitar, they want to be able to play, but they don't know what they want to do. And I want to put this out there to anybody watching this and say, what's your experience? Please leave me a comment and let me know, because I'm really, really curious about this. Also, if you have any suggestions or thoughts on how things can maybe be turned around a little bit, it'd be really, really cool to know and get people talking about that. So like I said, this is just something that's been on my mind lately, and this has probably come across like a little bit of a rant, and I don't mean it to. It's just me getting my thoughts out there on the whole guitar thing and being a guitar teacher. Because ultimately, I'm more a believer that if you know what you like and you know what you want to do on the guitar, you're going to be way more successful with it in terms of actually getting there. Because if you don't know what you like and you don't know what you're doing, then you have no aim. And this isn't even just guitar. For me, this is life in general. Like, if you don't have any aims, if you don't know where you want to be, you're not going to get there. You need some sort of target. You need some sort of aim and some sort of direction to get somewhere. And it's the same with guitar. And perhaps this is a reason why people hit a brick wall in their playing. I talked about this in my last video where I was talking about improvising and how people hit a brick wall in that and how they can get past it. And my main answer to that was maybe diversify and have more influences and listen to more things and try and take inspiration from different sources. And I think this is the same thing, but on a larger scale, not just with improvising, but playing the guitar in general. Like, if people hit a brick wall with their guitar playing, not so much in an improvising sense, maybe they just don't know what they want to learn because they're not really experiencing enough music to get some inspiration from. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I think I've talked enough about this, but yeah, I do want to get a bit of a discussion going. So if this video has been intriguing in any sort of way and you want to say anything about what I've talked about in this video, then please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Really, really curious to know. And yeah, I think that'll be a cool little discussion to have. Anyway, I hope this video has been somewhat enjoyable. If it has, then please leave it a like, leave me a comment, like I said, subscribe to my channel if you've stumbled across this video and you're new here, and hopefully I'll see you next time.